Daniel never thought the ruins would be so quiet. The air around the ancient stones felt heavy, almost like the walls themselves were holding their breath. He adjusted the straps of his exploration pack and wiped the dust from his forehead. It had been 3 days since his team arrived on this alien planet, and most of his companions stayed near the landing site, busy with equipment checks and data reports. Daniel, however, preferred to walk ahead, explore, and take risks. The ruins stretched out before him like the bones of a forgotten city. The stones glowed faintly with strange patterns, as if holding energy from a long-dead civilization. His boots echoed against the cracked floor, the sound bouncing through the empty halls. Somewhere above, light from 2 suns filtered through broken ceilings, painting long shadows across the ground. He paused at the entrance of what looked like a temple. Strange carvings lined the walls, symbols that looked both familiar and foreign. He pulled out his scanner, but before he could begin recording, a soft sound echoed behind him. It was not the wind. It was a voice. Daniel turned sharply. A tall figure stood in the shadows, watching him with eyes that glowed faintly blue. Her hair shimmered like silver strands under the sunlight, and her skin was pale, almost radiant. She wore a long flowing robe of deep green, decorated with golden threads that looked like living vines curling across the fabric. Daniel felt his throat tighten. He had read about her people in the mission files, the Illyrians. They were known for their advanced knowledge and strict laws. Few humans had ever met one in person. Most Illyrians considered humans reckless and unworthy of trust. Yet here she was, standing only a few feet away. "You are human," she said. Her voice calm but filled with curiosity. Daniel nodded slowly, careful not to make sudden movements. "Yes, my name is Daniel. I come with the exploration team from Earth. I don't mean harm." The woman stepped forward, her bare feet making no sound on the stone. "You entered sacred ground. No outsider is allowed here." Daniel swallowed. "I didn't know. I thought these ruins were abandoned." Her eyes lingered on him for a long moment, as if weighing his words. "Most of your kind would not speak so gently when caught trespassing. They would argue. They would demand." "I'm not here to demand anything," Daniel said. "I only wanted to understand." The woman tilted her head slightly, studying him as if he were some strange puzzle. Then, with graceful movements, she circled around him, her eyes never leaving his face. "You speak differently," she said. "I have heard of humans who chase power, humans who bring noise and fire. But you stand here alone with no weapon drawn." Daniel lifted his hands, showing her his empty palms. "I didn't come for war, only knowledge, and maybe friendship, if your people allow it." For the first time, her expression softened, her lips curved slightly, almost like a hidden smile. "Friendship," she repeated as if testing the word. "That is not common among my people. We value strength and silence, not bonds of the heart." Her presence felt overwhelming, yet Daniel noticed something else. Beneath her noble posture there was curiosity. She seemed drawn to him, though she tried to hide it behind her calm mask. "My name is Liara," she finally said, her voice lower, more personal now. "Daughter of the Illyrian Council." Daniel felt his chest tighten again. A council daughter. Royal blood. He realized just how dangerous this meeting was. If anyone from her people discovered her speaking to him, it could spark conflict. But Liara didn't seem afraid. She stood close enough that he could see the faint glow of her skin, like moonlight resting on water. "Why are you here?" Daniel asked carefully. Liara looked at the carvings on the wall. Her hand touched the symbols gently, tracing the lines. "I come here to listen. The ruins hold voices of the past. My people fear them, but I feel at peace among them." Her eyes flicked back to him. "And perhaps I was meant to meet you here." Her words carried a weight Daniel couldn't explain. For a long moment, silence filled the temple. Only the distant wind and the faint hum of energy from the ruins remained. Finally, Liara stepped closer. "Tell me, Daniel of Earth, what does your heart seek?" The question caught him off guard. He opened his mouth, then paused, searching for the right words. I seek connection, to learn, to share, to know that even across the stars we are not so different. Liara's gaze lingered on his face. There was something in her expression, softness mixed with wonder, as if she couldn't understand why a human would speak such words yet found herself believing him. She moved back slightly, then turned away as if remembering her duty. If my people learn I spoke with you, it will bring trouble. You should return to your camp. Daniel nodded slowly, though something in him resisted leaving. Will I see you again? For the first time, Liara let a true smile touch her lips. Perhaps, she whispered. If fate allows it. She turned and began to walk toward the shadows of the ruins. For a moment, Daniel thought she would vanish like a dream. But then, just before she disappeared, she looked back at him once more. Her blue eyes shone with something unspoken, a spark that promised this was not the end. Daniel stood there long after she left, his heart racing. He had come to this world expecting ruins and silence, not the daughter of a council with eyes, like starlight. Something told him that his journey had only just begun, and deep inside, he wondered if Liara felt the same spark he did, the beginning of something that might change both their worlds forever. Daniel could not forget the look in her eyes. That spark, faint but undeniable, stayed with him long after he returned to camp. The other humans were busy checking data charts, repairing landing shuttles, and writing long reports for Earth Command. To them, this mission was only about numbers and samples. But to Daniel, it had already become something more. He sat by the small fire that evening, pretending to review his notes on the ruins. Yet every time he tried to focus, his mind wandered back to Liara, the Illyrian Council's daughter, who had spoken to him in secret. Her words, her voice, her quiet strength. It was unlike anything he had ever known. The camp leader, Captain Miller, noticed Daniel's distraction. You went farther than the scan zone today, Miller said, frowning. You're supposed to stay within boundaries. The Illyrians don't like us wandering too far. Daniel nodded quickly, hiding his thoughts. Yes, sir. I'll be more careful. But inside, he already knew he would return. The next day, Daniel found himself walking back toward the ruins. His steps were slower, cautious. He wasn't sure if Liara would appear again or if their first meeting had been nothing more than chance. Still, his heart pushed him forward. The ruins were silent as before, glowing faintly with their hidden energy. Daniel touched the carvings on the wall just as Liara had done, tracing the lines with his fingers. He whispered quietly, Are you here? For a moment, nothing happened. Then from the shadows a familiar voice answered, You should not call for me so openly. Daniel turned. Liara stepped out, her green robe flowing gently like water. She looked at him with a mixture of surprise and curiosity. Why did you return? Because I wanted to see you, Daniel admitted honestly. I couldn't stop thinking about our talk yesterday. Liara tilted her head slightly, her silver hair catching the twin sun's light. You are bold, she said. Most humans would fear being caught here, yet you return without hesitation. I don't fear you, Daniel said, and I don't think you fear me either. She gave a quiet laugh, soft and brief. Perhaps you are right. They walked together through the ruins, their footsteps quiet on the cracked stones. Daniel spoke about Earth, the blue skies, the wide oceans, the crowded cities filled with music and life. Liara listened with shining eyes, as if painting each word in her mind. My people avoid such noise, she said. We believe silence keeps the heart strong, but your world sounds alive, it sounds warm. It is, Daniel said. Sometimes messy, sometimes loud, but always alive. He looked at her. Don't you ever want that? To feel alive, in a way that isn't just duty, Liara stopped walking. Her hands brushed against a vine growing through the stone. I was raised to serve the council, to obey tradition. We are taught not to want more than what is given. But you came here, Daniel reminded her gently. You came alone. Doesn't that mean part of you wants something different? Her lips pressed together as if she were holding back words she wasn't supposed to say. Finally, she whispered, Yes. I want to understand why humans risk so much for love, for trust, for bonds of the heart. My people say these things are weakness, but I wonder if they are strength. Daniel felt warmth spread through him. Maybe I can show you. Her eyes widened slightly at his words, and for a moment, silence filled the space between them. That night, Liara returned again. Daniel had promised to come alone, and he kept his word. They met beneath the broken archway of the temple, where starlight from the twin moons shone down like silver rivers. Liara sat on one of the stone blocks, her robe spreading around her like a pool of emerald. She looked up at him. Humans are strange. You speak with openness. You give words freely. My people hide their hearts behind walls. Daniel sat across from her, his hands resting on his knees. Maybe that's why humans and Illyrians have trouble trusting each other. Too many walls, too much silence. Liara's gaze softened. And you think you can break these walls? Not me, Daniel said, but maybe us. The word hung in the air. Us. Liara's heart beat faster. She had never thought of herself as part of us with anyone, especially not with a human. But she didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned closer, curiosity flickering in her eyes. What does us feel like to a human? She asked. Daniel's smile was small but full of meaning. It feels like not being alone anymore. As the nights passed, they met in secret again and again. Liara grew more open each time. She told Daniel stories about Illyrian history, the wars fought long ago, the silence chosen to heal old wounds, the strict rules that shaped every life in her world. Daniel listened, not with judgment, but with care. You don't sound like them, Daniel said once. You sound like someone searching for more. Liara's voice lowered. Perhaps I am. Perhaps meeting you is part of that search. Their bond grew quietly but surely, like roots beneath the soil. Each word, each glance, each shared silence became part of something deeper. Daniel found himself waiting for her smile, her laughter, the way her eyes softened when she listened. Liara, in turn, discovered feelings she never knew existed, warmth in her chest, curiosity in her thoughts, and a longing she could not explain. But danger always lingered near. One evening, just as Daniel arrived at the ruins, Liara seemed tense. Her eyes darted toward the shadows as if expecting to be followed. What's wrong? Daniel asked, concerned. My guards grow suspicious, she admitted. They sense I leave the council chambers at night. If they find me here, they will call me disloyal. And you would be punished. Daniel's jaw tightened. Then maybe we should stop. Liara looked at him sharply, almost hurt. Do you wish to stop? No, Daniel said quickly. But I don't want to cause you harm. Liara took a slow breath. Harm is already near. My people would never accept what I feel when I stand with you. Yet, she hesitated, her voice softer now. I do not want to let it go. The words hung between them, heavier than any silence before. Daniel reached out carefully, not touching her but letting his hand hover near hers. Then we don't let it go. Not yet. Her fingers twitched, almost reaching for him before she pulled back. Her heart raced. Never before had she wanted something so strongly. That night, as they stood under the twin moons, Liara whispered, Your world values bonds of the heart. If I wish to understand this bond fully, what would I have to do? Daniel looked into her eyes, searching. He sensed what she meant but didn't want to assume. You'd have to trust. You'd have to take a step your people might never approve of. Liara's lips parted slightly, her breath trembling. For the first time, she allowed herself to feel the forbidden thought, to step closer, to let her heart answer instead of duty. Before she could act, she stepped back into the shadows. "Not tonight," she said softly. "But soon." Daniel nodded, his heart pounding. "I'll be here." And as Liara disappeared into the ruins, she carried with her a new secret. Not just that she met a human, but that she was no longer the same Illyrian she had been before. Something inside her had begun to change, and she could no longer deny it. The nights grew longer, or maybe it only felt that way to Daniel. Each evening he returned to the ruins, waiting for Liara. Every time she came, his heart filled with relief. Every time she left, he wondered if it might be the last. He had never expected to feel this way on a mission. Earth Command had trained him to study, to observe, to report. They had not prepared him for a princess of another world who looked at him with eyes that seemed to search his soul. Liara, too, felt the change. Each meeting pulled her farther from the path her people had set for her. She knew it was dangerous. She knew the council would never forgive her if they discovered her secret. Yet still she found herself walking to the ruins, drawn by something she could not control. That evening, the twin moons rose high above the ruins, painting the stone with silver light. Daniel waited near the temple archway, his hands clasped behind his back. He heard the soft rustle of fabric before he saw her. Liara stepped out of the shadows, her robe flowing gently. She paused when she saw him, and for a moment they simply stared at each other. No words, only the quiet sound of their hearts. "You came," Daniel said softly. "Of course," Liara replied. "Did you doubt I would?" "I doubt many things these days," he admitted. "But never you." Her lips curved in a small smile. "You speak such words as if they cost you nothing. To my people, every word is weighed, measured, but you give them freely." "Because they're true," Daniel said, "and truth is worth saying." They walked together among the ruins, stopping beneath a broken column that reached toward the stars. Daniel pointed at the sky. "See that cluster? We call it Orion. It's one of the first things our ancestors looked up to when they wondered if there was life beyond Earth." Liara followed his finger, her eyes glowing softly in the moonlight. "And now you are here, standing beside me. Your ancestors' wonder brought you across the stars." "Yes," Daniel said. "And maybe it brought me to you." Her breath caught at his words. She looked away quickly, but her cheeks flushed faintly. She had never been spoken to like that before, direct, honest, without fear. They sat on a wide stone block, silence stretching between them. Daniel let the quiet settle, not rushing her. Liara finally spoke, her voice low. "I asked you once what it means to humans, this thing you call us. You said it means not being alone. But is it more than that?" Daniel turned to her, searching her face. "Yes. It's trust. It's choosing someone, not because you must, but because you want to. It's knowing that even in the darkest place you're not afraid, because they are beside you." Liara listened, her heart beating faster with each word. She had been taught that feelings were weakness, distractions from duty. But as she looked at Daniel, she wondered if perhaps her people were wrong. "Would you choose me?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Daniel's answer was immediate. "Yes, without question." Liara's hands tightened in her lap. Her whole life, no one had chosen her, not truly. She had been given roles, duties, responsibilities. But Daniel's words were not command or obligation. They were choice, freely given. The night air grew colder, and a soft breeze moved through the ruins. Daniel noticed Liara shiver. Without thinking, he slipped off his jacket and offered it to her. She stared at it in surprise. "Why would you give me this?" "Because you're cold," Daniel said simply. Liara slowly accepted the jacket, wrapping it around herself. The fabric was rough compared to her fine robes, but it carried his warmth. She lowered her eyes, hiding the strange smile that tugged at her lips. "You humans," she whispered. "You act without calculation. You give without thought of return. It is strange, and yet I find myself drawn to it." Daniel leaned closer, his voice gentle. "Maybe that's what makes us human. Maybe that's what I want to share with you." Their eyes met again, and this time Liara did not look away. Silence fell, heavier than before. The moons shone down, casting silver light across her face. Daniel felt the moment stretch, fragile, but full of meaning. He wanted to reach out, but he did not move. He waited. Liara's heart raced. Her people would call it weakness. Her council would call it betrayal. But she could not deny the pull inside her any longer. For once in her life, she wanted to follow her heart, not her duty. She leaned forward, slowly, hesitantly. Her hand brushed against Daniel's. He froze, hardly daring to breathe. Then, with trembling courage, Liara pressed her lips softly against his. The world seemed to stop. The ruins, the moons, the wind, everything faded. For Daniel, it was as if the universe itself had narrowed to that single fragile moment. Her lips were warm, uncertain, but filled with something more powerful than words. Liara pulled back quickly, her breath uneven, her eyes wide. I should not have." Daniel shook his head, smiling gently. "Don't apologize." She stared at him, her chest rising and falling. "That was different. My people do not do such things. But with you, I felt as if I had to." "That's because it meant something," Daniel said softly. "And it meant something to me too." For a long time they sat in silence, their hands brushing but not quite holding. Liara's thoughts swirled. She had broken the rules of her people, taken a step no Illyrian dared to take. But instead of fear, she felt freedom. "Do all humans feel this way when they share such closeness?" she asked. Daniel nodded. "Yes, but it's never the same twice. It's always unique to the people who share it. What just happened? It's ours." Liara closed her eyes, letting the truth of his words sink in. A faint smile touched her lips. "Then, I am glad it was with you." Daniel's chest warmed. He wanted to hold her, to tell her everything he felt, but he knew the moment was delicate. She had taken the first step. He would not rush her. The night grew late, and Liara finally stood. "I must return," she said reluctantly. "If I am gone too long, questions will rise." Daniel stood with her. "I'll be here tomorrow if you come." She looked at him, her eyes glowing softly. "I will come. I cannot stay away." As she slipped into the shadows, Daniel felt hope stronger than ever before. She had kissed him, an act small to humans but enormous to her. It was the beginning of something neither of them could stop now. Liara walked back to her chambers that night, her heart beating wildly. She touched her lips, remembering the warmth. She had broken every rule she had been taught, yet she did not regret it. For the first time in her life, she felt alive, not as a council daughter but as herself. And in that feeling, she knew, whatever came next, she could not turn back. One evening, Daniel noticed something strange. As Liara approached, there was tension in her steps. Her robe, usually flowing with calm grace, swayed quickly as if she had hurried. Her eyes darted toward the shadows. "What's wrong?" Daniel asked the moment she reached him. "My people are watching me," Liara whispered. "I fear they know I leave the council at night. 2 guards followed me yesterday. I managed to lose them, but they are suspicious." Daniel's face tightened. "Then maybe we should be careful. I don't want you to get in trouble." Liara shook her head firmly. "No, I will not stop. I cannot. What I feel here with you, it is the only thing that is truly mine." Her words struck Daniel deeply. He wanted to protect her, to shield her from the danger that seemed to grow. around them. But he knew he could not stop her heart. They sat together beneath the twin moons, the silver light spilling across the stone floor. Liara's voice was soft but determined. "My council will never allow this," she said. "They do not understand bonds of the heart. If they learn about us, they will call me weak. They will call you dangerous." Daniel took a deep breath. "Then we'll have to make them see differently. Or now we'll have to stand together no matter what they say." Liara looked at him, her blue eyes shining. "You would risk your mission? Your people's trust?" "I'd risk more than that," Daniel said. "I'd risk myself, for you." Her lips trembled, but her heart felt steady. She had never heard words like his, words that carried such weight and such choice. The next day, rumors began to spread, among the humans too. Captain Miller pulled Daniel aside after a briefing. "You've been disappearing a lot lately," Miller said, his voice sharp. "Not staying with the team, wandering off on your own. What's going on, Daniel?" Daniel hesitated. He could not tell the truth, not yet. "I've been studying the ruins," he said. "There's more there than our scanners show. I think I can learn things that might help both us and the Illyrians." Miller's eyes narrowed. "Be careful. These people don't like surprises. Don't give them a reason to distrust us." Daniel nodded, but inside he felt the weight of two worlds pressing down on him. Both humans and Illyrians would not understand. Both would see danger where he only saw possibility. That evening, Liara returned more quickly than usual. She rushed into the ruins, her breath uneven. "Daniel," she whispered. "They know. The council suspects I am meeting someone. They have ordered guards to follow me tonight." Daniel's heart pounded. "Then why are you here?" "Because I could not stay away." Her voice cracked with emotion. "If this is the last time I needed to see you, I needed you to know." Daniel stepped closer, his hands gently taking hers. "No, Liara, this won't be the last time. Whatever comes, we'll face it together." Her eyes filled with tears. She did not allow to fall. "You speak as if your courage is endless." He smiled softly. "It's not. But it's enough when I'm with you." Before they could say more, a sound echoed through the ruins, the harsh clatter of footsteps. Torches glowed at the far end of the temple. Liara's eyes widened in fear. "They're here," she whispered. Daniel grabbed her hand. "Come on." They ran through the broken halls, shadows dancing on the walls as the light of the torches drew closer. Liara's robe swept behind her, and Daniel's boots pounded against the stone. The ruins, once their sanctuary, now became a maze of danger. They ducked behind a fallen pillar as voices filled the air. "She comes here often," one guard said. "Tonight we will catch her." Liara pressed against the stone, her breath shaky. Daniel leaned close, whispering, "Stay quiet. Wait for the chance." For long minutes they listened as the guards searched the ruins. The footsteps grew nearer, then faded, then returned again. Finally, silence fell. Daniel exhaled slowly. "We should go back to camp. It's not safe tonight." Liara shook her head. "No. If they see me near your camp, they will know. I must return to the council chambers before they notice I am missing." He looked at her, worry filling his eyes. "Be careful. Please." She gave him a soft smile, though fear still lingered in her face. "I always am. But tonight I learned something. I am no longer afraid of my people. I am only afraid of losing this. Of losing you." Liara returned to her chambers just before dawn, her heart still racing, but she was not careful enough. Waiting for her was a member of the council, an elder with sharp eyes who missed nothing. "You have been leaving at night," the elder said coldly. "Where do you go?" Liara bowed her head, trying to steady her voice. "To the ruins, to listen to the voices of the past." The elder's eyes narrowed. "And do these voices have human tongues?" Liara's breath caught, but she forced herself to remain calm. "You doubt me without proof. Proof will come," the elder warned. "And when it does, You will answer for your disloyalty." Liara held her silence, but inside, fear grew. They were close to discovering the truth. The next night she met Daniel again. Her steps were heavier now, weighed down by the danger. "They are watching me closely," she said. "The elder suspects. It is only a matter of time." Daniel reached for her hand, holding it firmly. "Then we don't wait for them to decide. We decide. Do you want this, us, enough to stand against them?" Her heart pounded. She thought of her people, her duties, the life expected of her. But then she looked at Daniel, the human who spoke, freely, who gave without demand, who looked at her not as council property but as a person. "Yes," she said firmly. "I want this. I want you." Daniel's chest swelled with emotion. "Then no matter what happens, we face it together." Liara smiled faintly. "Together, a word my people fear, but now it is the only word I trust." As the moons rose again, the bond between them was no longer a secret of the heart. It was a choice. Dangerous, defiant, but real. Both knew the price would come soon. Both knew discovery was close. And yet, standing in the silver light of the ruins, their hands entwined, neither would turn back. For the first time, Liara felt stronger than the council that ruled her life. For the first time, Daniel felt braver than the mission that bound him. Together, they were no longer afraid. Daniel waited in the temple archway, his hands clenched at his sides. His heart beat fast, not only with hope, but with fear. He knew the Illyrians were closing in. He knew the council would not forgive what they saw as betrayal. Yet he also knew he could not step away from Liara. She came at last, her green robe flowing in the moonlight. But tonight, there was no smile on her face. Her eyes carried both worry and determination. "They know," she said simply. "The council will summon me tomorrow. They will demand answers." Daniel felt his chest tighten. "And if you tell them?" Liara looked at him firmly. "If I tell them the truth, they will call me disloyal. They may cast me out. They may call for you to leave this world forever. But I am tired of silence, Daniel. I cannot live in lies anymore." Daniel stepped closer, his hand brushing hers. "Then I'll stand with you, no matter what they say." Her lips trembled, and for a moment her hand tightened around his. "Then tomorrow we face them together." The next day the council chamber was filled with tension. Tall pillars stretched upward, carved with glowing patterns. Council members sat in a half circle, their robes shimmering with silver threads. At the center stood Liara, calm but defiant. Daniel was brought in under watchful eyes. His presence alone was shocking. Few humans had ever been allowed into the chamber. Whispers filled the air, sharp and judgmental. The eldest counselor raised a hand for silence. His voice echoed through the hall. "Liara, daughter of the council, you stand accused of disobedience. You have left your chambers at night. You have met with a human in secret. Do you deny this?" Liara lifted her chin. Her voice was steady. "I do not deny it." Gasps spread through the chamber. Daniel's heart pounded, but he kept his gaze fixed on her. The counselor's eyes narrowed. "Why would you break the sacred laws of silence? Why would you lower yourself to bond with a human?" Liara's voice grew stronger. "Because he has shown me something my people have forgotten. Humans speak of trust, of choice, of bonds of the heart. You call these things weakness. But I have felt them, and I know now. They are strength." The chamber stirred with unrest. Another counselor leaned forward sharply. "You risk the honor of your people for one man, a human who does not belong here." Liara shook her head. "He belongs because he is brave enough to care, brave enough to give. He has risked more for me than many Illyrians would for their own." Daniel finally stepped forward, though guards blocked his path. His voice rang clear. "I came here to learn, not to harm. But what I found was more than ruins or history. I found Liara, and I will not let fear take that away." The eldest counselor's gaze grew cold. You speak of love, of closeness. These things destroyed our ancestors once. We built silence to survive. Do you wish to bring back the chaos of the past? Liara turned toward the council, her eyes blazing. No. I wish to bring life back to our hearts. Silence may have protected us, but it also chained us. My people are strong, but we are empty. We need more than rules, we need connection. Her words echoed through the hall, louder than any shout. For a moment silence truly fell, but it was no longer peaceful. It was heavy with change. Finally, the elder spoke again. You defy us openly. Then you must face the consequence. Choose now, the council or the human. The chamber grew still. Daniel held his breath. Liara's hand shook, but her voice did not. I choose him. Gasps filled the air, louder than before. The guard shifted uneasily, unsure whether to act. Some counselors looked furious, others uncertain. Daniel stepped beside her, his hand slipping into hers. For the first time in his life, he stood against not only danger, but an entire world's judgment. And yet he felt no fear. The eldest counselor rose slowly. Then you are no longer daughter of the council. You are cast out. You may live as you will, but you will not rule among us. Liara felt a sting in her chest, but she did not lower her head. For the first time, she felt free. She squeezed Daniel's hand, her heart steady. If exile is the price of truth, she said, then I accept it. Daniel looked at her with pride. You're not alone anymore. You'll never be. When they stepped out of the chamber, the world outside felt different. The air was sharp, the sky wide, the ruins glowing faintly in the distance. Liara's people watched from afar, their faces filled with shock and whispers. But in their eyes, Daniel saw something else too. Curiosity, seeds of doubt, seeds of change. Liara lifted her face to the sun's. I have no title now, no place, among them. Daniel wrapped an arm gently around her. Then we'll make our own place, together. She leaned against him, her voice soft but sure. Together. Always. In the days that followed, they lived quietly near the ruins. Daniel's team eventually learned the truth, and though Captain Miller was wary, he could not deny the bond he saw with his own eyes. The humans, unlike the council, did not cast her out. They treated her with respect, some even with admiration, and slowly whispers spread among the Illyrians. Some still called her reckless, but others, especially the younger ones, wondered if she was right. Perhaps silence was not the only way. Perhaps bonds of the heart were not weakness, but strength. One evening, under the same twin moons where they first kissed, Daniel and Liara sat together on the old stone blocks. The ruins glowed faintly around them, as if alive with approval. Liara spoke quietly. Do you think our choice will change anything? Daniel looked at her, his smile gentle. It already has. For us. And maybe, one day, for everyone else. Liara leaned closer, resting her head against his shoulder. Then, I'm glad I chose you. Daniel kissed the top of her head, whispering, and I'll keep choosing you every day. The moon shone down, silver and eternal, as if blessing the bond between them. Two souls from different worlds, standing against silence, finding strength in love. And though the future was uncertain, one thing was clear. Together they had already changed everything.